Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 1. We, the jury, found the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 1 of the indictment. State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 2 of the indictment. Ma'am.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines. We'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now, without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, I've been waiting and patiently waiting for the verdict of this whole situation to play out, which is why y'all haven't been seeing any videos. I wanted to see what the ultimate verdict was going to be, because I kind of knew once they kept pushing the trial date back and him cooperating, something didn't seem right. Lo and behold, we will find out that Govan Hernandez will be found not guilty. And most of us already knew something wasn't right when he was arrested and allowed to still be free while everybody else was locked up for what took place. Not to mention, while he was out fighting the young Dolph case, he was also arrested yet again in Mississippi for driving with a suspended license, stalking / harassing and making threats, all while having a warrant out for his arrest and out on an M charge. But once again, somehow they still allowed him to go scot-free. Now, being that he's been found not guilty, now we can freely speak on him and everything going on, because the case on his behalf is basically over, and I didn't want to incriminate even though everything else is on the internet. But I want to talk about everything we know so far pertaining to Govan Hernandez, his ties to Big Jook and CMG, and then his ties to the suspects that was charged with the unaliving of young Dolph. Now, I find it funny how all this played out, because as y'all can see, people started distancing themselves, people started getting unalived, and I want y'all to pay attention to all that. I'm still trying to figure out how Govan started as the initial target, but somehow he was found not guilty. He was the piece of the puzzle between everything that happened with the suspects and just the motive behind the shooting, period. I'm trying to figure out how this man was named by one of the suspects, aka Cornelius Smith, for his role in the shooting, but somehow still found not guilty. Now, could this be another case of people putting everything on the deceased man, aka Big Jook? Possibly. Because I could see him trying to clear his name, stating that he had nothing to do with it and he was just affiliated, but it doesn't seem that he orchestrated it. But once again, this whole thing was basically based around him, and he was the bridge between the suspects and the alleged man who set everything up, which was Big Jook. So how was he let off the hook that easy? Unless his cooperation was enough, and maybe they got bigger fish to fry. Now, there was a lot within this trial, so I'm not going to incorporate everything into this one video. We're solely going to focus on Govan Hernandez and what we knew prior to the trial, and then what actually happened at the trial. So we're going to get into the video, but before we do, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can get this video into the algorithm. And if you not subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it. Now, real briefly for y'all that aren't too caught up, 45-year-old Memphis man Govan Hernandez was charged with conspiracy to commit first-degree M and first-degree M for the unaliving of young Dolph back in 2021, when he was accused of orchestrating the hit on the rapper's life. He's been accused of getting two men, Straight Drop and Cornelius Smith, who was also arrested for the shooting, to carry out the premeditated hit. Young Dolph was attending a cookie shop called Makita's Cookies, located on 2370 Airways Boulevard, 301 Jefferson Ave. It was reported that he was shopping for cookies for his mother, along with security, when he was ambushed by 2 gunmen from the outside of the cookie shop. When it was all said and done, we would later find out that Dolph was shot approximately 20 times all over his body, according to his recent autopsy report. Now, after law enforcement would do their investigations, they would lock up Straight Drop, aka Justin Johnson, and Cornelius Smith. Both was identified and charged as the shooters within the incident and would take their cases to trial. On September 26, 2024, Johnson was sentenced to life in prison for his role in the shooting, as he was charged with first-degree M, conspiracy to commit first-degree M, and felon in possession of a firearm. It took jurors 3 days, and on the 4th day, they came to their decision. Now, Cornelius Smith, his co-defendant, played a very pivotal role into getting him all that time, because Cornelius is the guy that let the cat out the bag with everything. Cornelius Smith told the courts during Straight Drop's trial, which he was an all-star witness in, that Yo Gotti's brother, Big Jook, is the one that put $100,000 on Dolph's head. He also stated that Jook put money on other members of PRE as well, but the most was on Dolph's. So on the morning of November 17, 2021, him and Straight Drop began looking for any of the members of PRE to catch so they can collect money for their doings. He stated that they were aware that young Dolph and some of his artists were having Thanksgiving turkey giveaways, so allegedly they was headed in that direction when they just so happened to see young Dolph's car. What a coincidence, right? Now, here's when it comes down to Govan Hernandez and his role into orchestrating this whole play. Cornelius Smith also testified against Govan Hernandez and exposed how he knows Govan, who Govan is associated with, and how they planned to hit on young Dolph's life from the beginning. According to Smith, Govan Hernandez was the quote, go-between between Big Jook and Straight Drop and himself, basically stating that the only way they knew Big Jook was because of Govan, and Govan was the middleman. When it comes to the whole play itself, it was $100,000 on Dolph's head, and out of the money, Govan was supposed to take $10K out for his role in putting everything together and finding the suspects. Cornelius Smith, during his time on the stand against Govan, would break it all down. He stated that he used to buy pills from Govan, and sometimes he would get pills from him off credit, meaning he'll pay him back later. Govan seen this as an opportunity to scalp him because clearly he was in need of money. And as y'all know, it's no telling what someone would do for money when they're desperate, especially with a drug habit. Now, according to Smith, one day Govan asked him if he wanted to make some money, told him it'll include taking hits on guys from Paper Route Empire, where he explained that there was $50,000 on PRE member Wu and $100,000 on young Dolph. Now, according to Smith, he says that he didn't know Straight Drop before the situation, explaining that he was introduced to Straight Drop through Govan and met him for the first time at Govan's house. Now get this, he says that he was also involved in the shootout with Paper Route member Wu after Govan called him and Straight Drop to his house and gave them Wu's location. The next day after the shootout, Govan called him to his house yet again, where he would see and meet Yo Gotti's big brother Big Jook for the first time. He says that's where Govan told Jook that Smith is one of the guys that would do the hit. He also mentioned that outside of the conversation, he had no communication with Jook, nor did he have his number. Smith says the day that they unalived Dolph, they first went to Govan's house to pick something up out of an SUV before they went hunting, and that's when they eventually seen young Dolph driving and begin following him, where they watched young Dolph go to Makita's cookie shop. And basically the rest is history. So in a nutshell, Cornelius admits that yes, the hit was put on Dolph by Jook, but it was arranged, allegedly, by Govan. Just think of it from a boss and manager perspective. Now, during the trial, Govan's attorney stated that Cornelius isn't a credible source because he's just out to protect himself and trying to paint Govan as the fall guy. Which, if you ask me, it makes no sense because for one, how isn't he a credible source when the information he provided initially helped get Justin Johnson life in prison? Two, he's not trying to make Govan be the fall guy because he admitted to his role. He's just stating that him and Straight Drop didn't act alone, and in fact, they were directed, stating that Govan also didn't act alone because it was a chain of command. Big Jook was the guy who put money on Dolph's head, which sounds like M for hire, but Govan allegedly was the one who put everything together and set the play up. Cornelius don't know Dolph from a can of paint. So why else would he shoot and unalive him unless he was directed to do so for monetary gain? Now, clearly he was put up to it by somebody, right? So who would the somebody be? Now, as of today, it's been said that after 3 hours of deliberation, Govan Hernandez was found not guilty for his alleged role in the unaliving of young Dolph. Now, I don't know how in the world that happened, but as I always tell y'all, it's not what you know when it comes to the court of law. It's all about what you can prove. These cases never seem to amaze me because I know in reality, when you have someone involved in a crime testifying against you and implementing you in that crime with undeniable details, you're cooked. But clearly in that industry, you just never know. Now, here's a theory that I have. Govan is connected to a certain music group. So in order for him to be guilty, having an association with a certain music group that was beefing with young Dolph would basically mean that they also had something to do with the unaliving of Dolph because it'll connect the dots, right? So of course he wasn't going to be found guilty because that'll open a whole nother Pandora's box and a whole nother can of worms, forcing law enforcement to also have to arrest or do an investigation on other counterparts because it's proven that he's affiliated, right? So that's all I'm gonna say about that, man. Remember, Cornelius already exposed that his attorneys was allegedly paid $50,000 by CMG, allegedly. So question, who do you think is paying for Govan's lawyer? When he was arrested, how you think Govan was able to make a $90,000 bond? How you think Govan was on bond for the unaliving of young Dolph, caught another case while on bond, and still was free? That don't happen in real life. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Now, honestly, y'all, this case is deeper than just Govan Hernandez and the suspects that was at trial. If y'all remember, the cookie shop owner and his daughter Raven would get caught in their lies on social media as they explained what allegedly happened. Raven began getting caught up in her lies, and she also threatened to expose everyone else who may have had a part in something, allegedly. And just other details that went deeper than just the shooting itself, man. It's a lot of foul play and missing pieces to this case, but it's too much to put into one video. I'll advise y'all to go back to our old videos if you want to get caught up. And in fact, y'all forgot when Big Moochie Great was called out for knowing something happened to Dolph and may have had something to do with it, and that's when he deleted all his socials because that IG account, Young Dolph Unsolved, was throwing him under the bus, right? So shout out to them, by the way, as well, man. If you're familiar with that page, then you kind of know what's going on. But anyway, y'all jump in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'm going to keep on dropping. I'm out.